Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Oath of Noble GENIES Paladin in Baldur's Gate 3. This is part of the D&D Player's Handbook 2024 all-in-one Beyond mod made by Yoonmoonsik. This is a really fun subclass because you get elemental different types of smites, and this is actually the newest subclass that was added with the Heroes of Faerun expansion for D&D based on Baldur's Gate 3. Now this is an elemental paladin. What's cool about this is it also lets you use your charisma modifier to add it to your armor class. This can actually be a Dexidin really well. I was playing around with strength-based builds, but I do think, in all honesty, we're better off going dexterity-based on this build because we can use clothing and get a crazy high armor class that way. So this is the way to go for this particular build. I like to go with a constitution score of at least 16. We need a bit of survivability, charisma being nice as well, but the paladin gets a bit more mileage out of staying alive, so we're going to go with a stat spread of something like this. You can also put points into strength, but another thing is you could go, since there's a lot of feats that add a single point, you can go with like the 17 dexterity here and boost it up to 18. That works too. You could also use a strength-based paladin, but for my testing, it's way better to use dexterity because of all the subclass features that we want to take advantage of. Now, level 2, one of the biggest changes to the paladin in the Player's Handbook 2024 is that the paladin is no longer a smite bot. They can't just keep smiting all day. They can only do it half of the day. They get a bonus action added to the paladin smite here, but you can do it for free without expending a long rest. This is an interesting change because it actually brings a lot of value to the other types of smites, which no longer require concentration and become kind of a valid choice. You do have to still prepare as a option to have those. Also, Wrathful Smite is now necrotic damage, but we'll take the 3 smites here because we want to have options for the pushback, fire damage, or just radiant damage, and command. It's a good spell. Now, fighting styles, there's a few new ones here, like interception, which is kind of like the shield, blind fighting, which is my personal favorite, giving you blind sight of 3 meters, and you can see in magical darkness, pretty good. You can see in total darkness, blinded, you name it, it's good. Defense for a +1 armor class, always a good choice, but if we're doing clothing-based options, not really as good. Great weapon fighting is interesting. It's changed now, so if you roll a 1 or a 2, it becomes a 3 instead of re-rolling itself. So could be a bit more damage, might not be, it really just depends. I'm gonna go with blind fighting here, but it's your choice. I just think that ends up being a fun option because it opens combat up in a few new ways. Level 3, this is where we get our subclass elemental smites. So after you cast Divine Smite, you can expend 1 use of your channel divinity to invoke 1 effect. So the effects being Dow's Crush, Genie's Escape, Ifriti's Fury, Emerid's Surge. We'll go over those shortly, but we also now have Thunder Smite and Chromatic Orb. But the big thing here is the Genie's Splendor. When you're not wearing any armor, your base armor class equals 10 plus dexterity and charisma modifiers, and you can use a shield. Pretty crazy because Baldur Aloof is a longsword that you can use with dexterity and also use a shield with. We also get to take the performance skill here, which is nice. And since we already have that spell previously, we can then add on something like the Wrathful Smite now and Shield of Faith for a +2 to armor class. Now Shield of Faith is now bonus action concentration, so pretty good stuff there. You can just pop that at any moment. We also at level 14 get another lay hands charge, and we get our very first feat. Alert is no longer as good as it used to be, and ability score improvement, always a good choice. But since we're a paladin, my number 1 pick is always Savage Attacker, which re-rolls your damage die on your attacks and your smites. It's good. Also, if you really want to min-max, play as a high elf and take Booming Blade. Now, level 5 gives us our extra attack. We also get the Paladin Smite again, which is now actually I guess this is level 2 version. That's why it's giving it to us again. We also get to choose from spells, but a cool thing with this mod is Find Steed. So you can summon an otherworldly being that appears as a loyal steed. It shows up as the Strange Ox. You can then claim it and reclaim it and increase your attack, defense, and movement speed. Pretty cool stuff. There's also a ethereal horse that's in the game. This subclass also gives us Mirror Image and Phantasmal Force. Good spells to have. We'll also then take Magical Weapon, which is no longer a concentration, which is just great to have. Taking a level 2 spell slot to give yourself a boost to our overall attack and damage rolls. We like that. It's actually really nice. Level 6, this gives us our Aura of Protection, giving us a charisma modifier, 2 saving throws. Now we only have a +2, but hey, any little bit counts. That's because we have a higher constitution because this game reworked, or this mod updates how constitution and amulet of greater health works. 8 is not a bad spell either. Give us some more survivability. Never a bad thing. Level 7 gives us a subclass feature, the Aura of Elemental Shielding. You can choose one of the following damage types. You and your allies will have resistance to that damage type in a 3-meter radius. Just want to quickly put that out there. Same radius as the Aura of Protection, which is really hard to protect your teammates with. Just, again, want to put that out there. So just a heads up. We'll also then get to prepare another spell. Warding Bond's not a bad choice. You could even go with some of the other ones here. Really Prayer Healing give you like the short rest benefits for certain items. I mean, it's okay. But level 8 takes us another feat. And for spells, we really don't really need a whole lot. We got our smites, we got command, we have everything that we want. Now, a lucky is another feat you could go with. There's a lot of really good ones. Like this mod adds in so many new feats here. I did a video where I broke down all of the feats. So if you're curious to see what some of these other ones may do, you can check that video out because there is some actually really cool options here. But I'm going to keep it to the base game ones just because it gets a little bit much. A good choice, though, is Dual Wielder, which now lets you dual wield 2 weapons here. But the thing is, it lets you put a +1 to your dexterity modifier. And this is nice because when dual wielding is enabled, you can make an extra offhand attack as part of the attack action instead of as a bonus action. So this is pretty nice. If you don't want to use a shield, this would be the way to go. If you want to use a shield, you're going to be very defensive. Another one that I really like is Mage Slayer. So this, when you damage a creature that's concentrating and has disadvantage on holding its concentration, that's quite huge. And we also have the ability to force a save when we fail an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw. And this is per short rest. It's actually, Mage Slayer becomes quite crazy on this and lets us put a +1 to dexterity. Mage Slayer is really good. Otherwise, you could go alert or an ability score improvement, but Mage Slayer is kind of nice. It's yeah, big change and actually fits this build very well. We now get our level 3 smites at this level. It's nice, 48 of radiant damage. We also get the Abjure enemy, so it makes the enemy do a wisdom saving throw or become frightened for 1 turn, or 1 minute, which is 10 turns, until it takes any damage. It also says 3 turns there. Not sure why that's popping up. It's not supposed to give it to us, I don't think, at this level, but we also get Gaseous Form and Grand Flight. This also has level 3 spells here, so we can throw on Revivify and also things like Blinding Smite. I guess I should also put on Branding Smite there too. It's not a bad choice. Crusader's Mantle is still a pretty fun one if you have your whole team. An elemental weapon can be kind of cool on this build for extra elemental damage on our attacks. Now, once we get to level 10, we get the Aura of Courage, cannot be frightened, leave the spells, whatever you want. There's nothing super desperate there that we need. Level 11 gives us additional 1d8 of radiant damage on our attacks, similar to the normal base game. It's nice. We'll also prepare elemental weapon because there's some cool stuff we can do there. Level 12 now makes our aura become a level 9 meter emanation. This is cool because this is like the level 14 ability for the paladin, and they brought down a lot of the level 14 abilities to level 12, which I think is kind of nice. So that now makes it a lot easier for us to apply our auras to the team once we reach the max level. And then for our final ability score improvement, we could go max dex or increase our constitution score. I like the higher dex just because armor class, initiative, and everything all combined together. So yeah, we can actually get the armor class going pretty crazy here because the Genie Splendor is adding a +3 for our from a charisma modifier, +6 for our dexterity. This is using a few different pieces of gear here. So yeah, if we pump our charisma up even higher, that's going to obviously increase our armor class even higher. And it's possible we could have put our stats a little bit differently. This is also using the birthright for +2 to charisma, the cloak protection for another +1 armor class, the vest of soul rejuvenation. This gives us a greater Kashiko counter, which since we don't have like a strong reaction, this gives us an unarmed strike against an attacker that misses us. Not a lot of damage. It might just do 4 damage, but that might just be enough to finish an enemy off. We also have the gloves of dexterity. I guess you could also use the robe of the weave too if you want another clothing based option. And in the very start of the game, you could actually use the protecty sparks wall and just get lightning charges if you wanted to use clothing. Although I'd probably recommend using medium armor most times. Medium armor can actually give you quite a good armor class as well, so you don't need to focus on that if you don't want to, but armor of agility is obviously really nice with high dexterity. And gloves of dexterity, +1 to attack rolls, +3 to dex. Evasive shoes, +1 to armor class as well. I have the blade of oppressed souls, which then they actually buff this weapon in the mod, which lets the target get hit with Crown of Madness, attacking a random target. Really good. And also psychic damage. This weapon is kind of a nice one. Knife of Thunder Mountain King is another great choice. You could use the Infernal Rapier. It also comes with a summon on top of all that. You could even use Fowler Alluve and put Belm in your offhand if you wanted 2-weapon fighting, as I mentioned. That is a fun choice. And even Nirolnik can be pretty effective on a build like this, but my money is on Fowler Alluve being the best choice from the early game, and then also throwing on the Blade of Oppressed Souls because this is really nice actually with the extra damage and Crown of Madness. Viconia's Walking Fortress, Hellrider Longbow for the +12 to our initiative, which D20 initiative now. So we also got the Ring of Protection giving us a +1 armor class and the Ring of Free Action so we don't end up getting slowed down or restrained, and then the Amulet of Greater Health, which will put our Constitution up +3. Setting our health score at 124. Now we also have the Fine Steed. So this is something I just want to point out here. So Fine Steed, you can summon this in. It is literally a cow there, but you basically use the mount here, which lets you then take the benefits of riding it there, which will then give you, you can also fall it off if you don't succeed a dexterity 18 saving throw. This will boost up our attack and damage rolls. So now when it comes to combat, we have our special effects after we do a Divine Smite. So that's something we want to roll and start off with. So once we do that, here are the different benefits that we have. So we have Dow's Crush, Earth rising up around the target, which will restrain them for 10 turns on a strength save. This uses your channel Oath charge to apply. It did write channel Divinity, but the Genie's Escape. This one, whenever you do the attack, you can teleport within 9 meters of yourself, taking a semi-incorporeal form, which lasts until the end of your next turn, which gives you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage, and immunity to prone and restrained. We also have Feats Fury, which you can damage the target 2d4 of fire damage and split flames spread to any other creature you can see within 9 meters of you, also causing them to take a 2d8 or 2d4 of fire damage. Marid's Surge here, which will create a 3-meter emanation, which will push creatures back 4.5 meters and knock them prone. And we also have the Steed attack here. So this is from our Steed action point. When you make a melee attack, your Steed can also do a melee attack using your spell casting ability modifier. We're going to go with the Ifriti's Fury here for the extra fire damage, which was enough to burn them to a crisp and finish them off. It didn't jump over to this target here, but that is totally fine. We got our horse, so this gives us some extra movement speed, and then we can go in and we already used up our bonus action on that, so that's something that happened, but we still have our extra attacks. We can go ahead here and we'll roll the free crit. That was enough to finish them off because the extra psychic damage and re-rolling all that damage die. Where did he come from? I also picked one of the worst fights because I forgot the Divine Smite is also getting reflected back in my face at the current moment. And we have a bunch of guards here, so I'm just going to take the hasted action and bash him. And actually the Crown of Madness did apply. That's perfect. And he walked and got the opportunity attack. That was amazing. And fire don't bother us because we're a genie. Or should I say noble genie. Now, this is a great time for us to actually use the Ifriti's Fury here because we're actually going to get multiple hitting targets. I'm going to hit this guy. Oh, he's got the Radiant Reflect. This is going to go bad unless I use that there. Broke his concentration. Didn't get to use a special ability, unfortunately. I'm just going to roll with our regular old attack into this guy. I'm just going to take him out. One last target to deal with. We failed. Heroic Inspiration, though, lets us re-roll that attack, which got us a hit now. That's great. And also we could use the Abjure Enemy, which will make the target frightened, which is nice, but they're in our face, so it doesn't really matter. I'll use the hasted action here, just do a regular old attack against this target. And I got Crown of Madness off on him too. That's actually kind of funny. There's a lot of nerfs in this, but it actually buffed this weapon up quite a bit. And it's funny because they're now all just fighting against each other. So yeah, it's one of the nice things about Crown of Madness, especially this weapon here, is you can just pit them against each other. Again, that is the Blade of Oppressed Souls, which is now buffed up in this mod. I'm on a roll with Crown of Madness, so I'm just going to do a weapon attack against that target. We missed, but still hit. Not quite sure how. But I'm going to go after this target here, and I'm going to go with a Thunderous Smite because she's got the Radiant Reflect, so I don't want to hit her with that, even though I'm still going to do a bit of radiant damage to her. Didn't get the knockback. We got Crown of Madness off on another target. This is kind of silly. Despite all the nerfs in this mod, this is quite a buff. And I'm going to try and get the Crown of Madness off on this. I have the hasted action. I just apply haste on these builds sometimes to show them off. That was enough to one-shot them perfect, but the Crown of Madness should be enough for them to just start fighting each other. And that's the beautiful thing, is that the guards are now whooping them and they're just going at each other. So one of the best things about being a paladin is the crazy stuff that can happen, I guess, like this. We're a protector of good and evil, and sometimes being that is just making them fight each other, as you can see here. Now it's our turn again. I'm going to go with another, we'll go with just Searing Smite this time, and I guess I also have the Paladin Smite. Here we go. We finally got this again. Ifriti's Fury, which will apply that fire damage to that target. It's exactly what I wanted. Don't forget, you also have that free Paladin Smite, and it's going to be the most high version of it, so the upcasted version, which does quite a bit of damage. But there it is. That is the Oath of Noble GENIES Paladin. You can go with like clothing options, as mentioned. That's going to be like the more lower appropriate, but we have a way higher armor class with the Armor of Agility, just the way the game plays out. But another thing I do want to quickly mention is that the aura here still ends up being a 3-meter radius, so just something to keep in mind. But yeah, that is the Oath of Noble Genies in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and we'll catch you all in the next one.